Hello friends, welcome back to Learn with Lakshman Dharmaraj. Today we're going to talk about a sonnet by William Shakespeare. The title of the sonnet is My Mistress's Eyes Are Nothing Like the Sun. This sonnet is one of the popular sonnets written by William Shakespeare. You must be knowing that William Shakespeare has written 154 sonnets. The sonnets of Shakespeare were first published in 1609 without his permission. Shakespeare's sonnets do not have the titles. They are usually known by the numbers given to them or by their first lines. Shakespeare's sonnets are addressed to a fair youth, dark lady, and a rival poet. The present sonnet is about the dark lady. The dark lady is an unknown person, but Shakespeare considered her as his beloved. During those times, it was customary to write poems in the praise of one's beloved. Most of the poets compared their beloved to numerous beautiful things in nature. In this poem, Shakespeare ridicules such love poems. The form of a sonnet, a poem of 14 lines, is most suitable for making short comments. This sonnet is superior in its technique and mode of expression. Shakespeare's sonnets are known as the Shakespearean sonnets or the English sonnets. Though he followed the general style of the traditional sonnets, he introduced new themes in his sonnets. These are written in 3 quatrains, 4-line stanzas, and a couplet with the rhyme scheme A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F, and G, G. Before we begin to talk about the poem itself, let us have little information about the poet, that is William Shakespeare. Most of the people know William Shakespeare because he is extremely famous poet. William Shakespeare lived between 1564 to 1616. He is regarded by the world as the greatest English dramatist and a poet. He was an actor and a stockholder of drama company in London. There are 37 plays written by William Shakespeare. He has also written 154 sonnets, which is called Sonnet Sequence of Shakespeare. He has also written a few different poems. Shakespeare has got highest recognition because his writings have a universal appeal. He dealt with a variety of themes and subjects in his plays. Comedies, tragedies, tragicomedies, and histories are some of the types of plays he has written. He has also written poems. He was born in a rural area at a place called Stratford upon Avon and later came to London as a common man in 1588 to start his career as an actor. He lived and worked in London from that time to 1612. Hamlet, Macbeth, Othello, King Lear, Julius Caesar are his well-known plays. During this time, he achieved great fame as the dramatist and poet. He is entitled as the national poet of England and his literature has been translated in almost all the languages of the world. Thus, greatness of Shakespeare is known to everybody, every person who learns literature in the world. Let's first of all read the poem. My mistress's eyes are nothing like the sun. My mistress's eyes are nothing like the sun. Coral is far more red than her lips red. If snow be white, why then her breasts are dun. If hairs be wires, black wires grow on her head. I have seen roses damasked, red and white, but no such roses see I in her cheeks, and in some perfumes is there more delight than in the breath that from my mistress reeks. I love to hear her speak, yet well I know that music hath a far more pleasing sound. I grant I never saw a goddess go. My mistress when she walks treads on the ground. And yet by heaven I think my love as rare as any she belied with false compare. Now let's try to understand the poem line by line. Let's talk about the first quatrain. Quatrain is a stanza of 4 lines. Shakespeare's sonnets are formed of 3 quatrains and a concluding couplet. So let's talk about the first quatrain. My mistress's eyes are nothing like the sun. Coral is far more red than her lips red. If snow be white, why then her breasts are dun? If hairs be wires, black wires grow on her head. Try to understand the lines. My mistress's eyes are nothing like the sun is the title of the poem. The title itself needs to be spoken about because the word mistress does not mean what it means today. The main character or the object of this poem is speaker's mistress. The word mistress usually is used to refer to a woman who lives with a married man. However, during Shakespeare's time, the use of the word mistress was more general. It meant my love, my darling, my beloved, or even the owner of a property. So that was the meaning of the mistress. Here, the best meaning, I suppose, is my beloved or my sweetheart. So the title of the poem should be My Sweetheart's Eyes Are Nothing Like the Sun. So the meaning of the first line is my mistress's eyes are not at all like the sun. In the second line you can see her lips are compared to the coral. Coral is a most beautiful and shiny stone, red in color generally. Coral is far more red than her lips red. Generally you would have seen a poet comparing lips of his beloved with the coral, that he would probably say her lips are as red as the coral, but here poet is trying to say that coral is far more red than her lips red. Her lips are also red, but coral is far more red. Her lips are not as red as the coral. In the next line you can see that poet compares her breasts with the white snow. Generally, some other poet would have compared the breast with the white snow. Snow white is the symbol of beauty. But here Shakespeare says that if snow be white, if the color of the snow is white, then why the breasts of my beloved are dun? Dun means a sort of grayish brown color. It is dun. The last line of the first stanza is, if hairs be wires, black wires grow on her head. If poet really wanted to be sentimental and sweet, he would have compared his lover's hair to something soft, smooth and shiny like silk. Even if that is not the case, women's hair are generally compared to golden wires, for golden hair has been the symbol of beauty in Europe generally. But here, what does poet do? Poet says that if hairs be wires, black wires grow on her head. That means her hair are not golden, but they are black. That means her hair are not beautiful. Let us have a recap of these 4 lines. In the first line, poet says that his mistress's eyes are not at all like the sun. In the second line, he says that the coral is more red than the lips of his beloved. In the third line, he says that the breasts of his beloved are dun. Dun means sort of grayish brown in color, which is not the symbol of beauty. And in the next line, poet says, if hairs be wires, black wires grow on her head. That means her hair are not golden, therefore they are not beautiful. He is talking against all the norms of traditional poetry. The first line of the second stanza is, I have seen roses damasked red and white. Now, the word damasked means a pattern of mixed colors woven into expensive fabric. See this picture, this is the picture of damasked roses. So poet says that I have seen roses damasked red and white, mixed red and white, but no such roses see I in her cheeks. It simply means that her cheeks are not rosy, or her cheeks are not as rosy as damasked roses. In the next 2 lines, poet says, and in some perfumes is there more delight than in the breath that from my mistress reeks. That means he tries to say that some perfumes are more delightful than the breath of my mistress. In simple words, poet wants to say that the fragrance of my mistress's breath does not surpass all the perfumes of the world. Some of them are really delightful than the breath of my mistress. Now let's talk about the third quatrain. I love to hear her speak. Poet loves to hear his beloved speak, yet he knows that music hath far more pleasing sound. Poet loves to hear his beloved speak, but the sound of music is more pleasing than the sound of his beloved. Further, in the next two lines, he says, I grant I never saw a goddess go. My mistress, when she walks, treads on the ground. The meaning of the word tread is walk in a specified way. So poet tries to say that his mistress walks on the ground instead of walking in the sky or in the clouds like the goddess. She is not a goddess, she is a common woman. Some other poets do compare or do say that their mistress is like the goddess and she walks in the clouds or in the sky and all like that. Poet says that I have never seen a goddess go, and I grant means I admit that I have never seen a goddess go, and my mistress, when she walks on the ground only. Now let us try to talk about the body organs of his beloved that poet compares with various natural objects. First is eyes. He compares eyes with the sun and says that eyes are not like the sun. About lips, he says they are less red than the coral. Coral is a precious red stone. You can see the picture of coral here. Breast, according to him, breasts are dun, unlike white snow. They are not like white snow. Hairs, about her hair, he says they are black and not golden. Black hair is the symbol of beauty in India, but it is not the symbol of beauty in Europe. Golden hair is the symbol of beauty in Europe. Cheeks, not like damasked roses. That means they are not white and rosy. Breath is less fragrant than some perfumes. Sound is less pleasing than the music. And about walking, poet says she walks on the ground instead of walking in the sky or in the clouds. Now look at the concluding couplet. And yet by heaven I think my love as rare as any she belied with false compare. Here she is woman belied with false compare. Here poet tries to say that by heaven he thinks his love as rare and valuable as any other woman who's belied with false compare. The meaning of the word belied is falsely described or portrayed or misrepresented. Therefore, in the last couplet, poet says that my love is rare and it is as rare as any other woman who's misrepresented or who's portrayed falsely by other poets. A, B, C, D, E, F, and G is the pattern of Shakespeare's poems. It is a common rhyme that all the sonnets of Shakespeare follow. This is a different poem because it goes against the traditional comparisons done by all other poets. And there is one more thing. This poem is basically dedicated to or addressed to a dark lady. As you know that Shakespeare's poems are dedicated or addressed to a dark lady, a fair youth, and a rival poet. This sonnet 130 is addressed to the dark lady. Dark lady is the object of this sonnet that we have to understand. I hope you have understood the poem. If you have understood it, please hit the like button and share this video with your friends, and do not forget to subscribe if you are new to this channel. Thank you very much for watching.